It's 53, about 10 lines from the bottom. 53b, 10 lines from the bottom. $11 lines from the bottom. It says Zecharim Yaitzim Levuvim. The male animals can go out Levuvim. There's the rams. You can see what Levuvim is. My Levuvim, the Gemara asks. What does it mean, Levuvim? They can go out Levuvim. We have discussions here about what animals are allowed to go out with on Shabbos, with the concern that things may fall off and you may carry them, or it may look like you're taking them to the marketplace or on a long journey, or some sort of work or load that they're carrying, all types of problems with animals carrying things. It said it's okay for them to go out Levuvim. What is Levuvim? Amar Avuna Tutri. Tutri means in pairs, like tray. Tray means two. They're going in pairs. My mashma the high Levuvim lishna the kruvihu. So when they're going in pairs, it means they're walking. You can tie them, I guess, in a way that they're going and walking in pairs. How do you know that Levuvim means that they're going close together? It's interesting. It brings a pasuk, T'ksiv levavtani achesi kala. You have brought me close, my sister, my bride. That means that levavtani is that you made like a pair, that you put them together, brought them close. Ula Amar. Ula says, Arsha Koshim Keneged Libam. Levuvim is a leather, a hide.
Want to mute everyone?
Oh. Is a hide that's put next to the heart. So that the wolves don't attack them. So the male animals, the rams, get this hide next to their heart, so the wolves don't attack I guess the wolves would grab them at the heart. The Gemara says, 1 second. It says male animals, the rams. I don't know what the word is for a female sheep. It only attacks the rams. It doesn't attack the ewes. So only the rams, and they're the ones that need this protection. It says no. The male animals, they go at the front of the group, so they're the ones that are going to get attacked. The Gemara says, the wolves only attack the front, they don't attack the back. They'll attack whatever's convenient, wherever they can get away with. So, Ela Mishum Deshamni. Well, it's because the rams are fatter, and the wolves are going to attack the fatter ones. Okay, we're saying why these animals are allowed to go with that sort of protection around the heart. When a cave is like a shamni, there's no plump ewes. Vesu miyada bein hani lahani. And does the wolf really know the difference? I'm not sure if it means difference between male and female when it's attacking for lunch, or if it means fat and thin when it's attacking for lunch. Does it really see that difference? I'm not sure either way, the Gemara is surprised that it should only be the males that should have this, that should be allowed to have this. Very interesting. The male animals, when they walk, they put their nose up and they look kidavu, when they're looking, and they're going and they're looking. I guess they're looking from side to side with their nose up. It looks like they're trying to pick a fight. So the wolves are sensitive to that, and they'll attack the male animals. It's more concern for the male animals because of the way they walk, the way they look around when they're walking, like a gang. Want to fight? So that's why they need the protection. Okay, whose opinion was that? That was Ula. Now we have Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. We had Rav Huna, we have Ula, now we have Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Amar Arsha Koshim Lem Tachas Achrusam. Kadesh leyalu al nekevas. This is a protection so that they don't mate with the females. So they put a hide underneath the male organ of the animal. It sort of like holds it in its place so that it doesn't mate, doesn't go on the female animals. Mimai, how do you know this? What are we translating here? Levuvin. Well, it says midaktani seifa, because if you read further in the Mishnah, it says v'harechelim yotzei shechuzes. It says that the ewes can go out shechuzes. My shechuzes, what are shechuzes? That they take the tail of the animal and they fold it up above the back of the animal so that they should mate. So the Gemara explains, Reisha kadesh leyalu al nekevas, v'seifa kadesh yalu aleim zacharim. You see what's going on in the Mishnah? The beginning of the Mishnah says that they're tying something so that it doesn't mate, and the end of the Mishnah is that they're tying so it does mate. One is tied to the male sheep, the other one's tied to the female sheep. Okay. The Gemara says we made one translation dependent on another translation, which neither of them were fully clear. It says, "My mashma the high shechuzis lishna the giluyahu." How do you know that shechuzis means that it's open? We're talking about the female, the hind part of the female. That you take the tail and you wrap it over the top. How do you know that it's opening up that back area? The ksiv says in the pasuk in Mishlei, "V'hinei isha lekrasei shis zayna." There's a woman coming towards him. It's talking about a bad woman. Shis zayna. Her private area is dressed like a zayna, like a harlot, and a tzura slave. The tzura slave. I think the Malbim says that the desires are surrounding her heart, full of desires. Okay, but the idea over here is that shis zayna, the tough of shis, is being exchanged with the ches, because it looks very similar. Tough and ches. Usually we don't do that. Usually we do what sounds similar. So it's shechuzes, shechzuna, and we had shechuzes. Okay, so the word is similar. That means that it's ready. It's open and ready to mate. Okay. 3 interpretations there. Harachelim yotzes kavules. The sheep are allowed to go out kavules. We didn't translate that, although before we did mention that had to do with keeping the wool. I think we said the wool clean. No, that we said was kavules. We didn't translate kavules yet. My kavules. What are kavules? So it says shemechablim al yashem lamata kadesh layalu aleim zacharim. It's the opposite. You tie the aliyah, which is the tail of a sheep, down so that it doesn't mate with the male, with the rams. My mashma the high kavul lishna de leyavid perihu. Where do you get that kavul means that it doesn't reproduce? The ksiv mahar melash nesat liyachi yikulam eretz kavul adiyim. What happened was Hiram and Shlomo Melech were very close. Hiram was close with David HaMelech, and Hiram, the king of Tzur, is close to Shlomo Melech. After they build the Beis Hamikdash, and Hiram provides all the lumber, so Shlomo Melech then gives Hiram a bunch of cities in the Galil, 5 cities I think it says, or it says a bunch of cities it has a number there. Gives him a bunch of cities in the in the Galilee, I guess, which is near Hiram's land. So Hiram says, let me go take a look. He goes over there and he says, he sees the cities. He says to Shlomo, what are these cities you're giving me? I don't need your cities. Hiram was being nice to Shlomo. It was close to his father. He said, don't give me these gifts. It's not important for me. And he says he was displeased with it. And he says, and they called it Eretz Kavol. My Eretz Kavol. What is it? Why are they calling it Eretz Kavol? It's because they had people there that were like way down, I guess, tied up with gold and silver. And it was very wealthy people. Amalei Rava, Rava says, Yihachi haina d'ksiv, v'lo yashur be'inav. Says Hiram wasn't happy with this gift. I think it's not clear from the Mefarshim there if the cities were actually bad or the cities were good. And that's Mefarshim on Tanakh. The cities were good, but Hiram was like, I didn't do it. I didn't give this to you to get a gift, it was like putting down all the kindness that Hiram did for Shlomo. However, our Gemara is looking at it that it was, he gave him land that didn't produce anything. So it says, what is Kavol? It's that the people that would live there were very wealthy. So it says, so why was he not happy with the land? It sounds like gave him some resort area. It says no. The Gemara asks, yeah, he says that's a problem. It's a problem. They're so wealthy that they didn't want to do any work. So that wasn't going to be a good gift for Hiram. Anyone that reads Malachim sees that there's one thing about this, the Shlomo Melech and his projects, is that there was a lot of work. Everyone was working hard. The tax in those days was they had to work. They'd go for a month, come back, and whatever. There was a lot of projects going on. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Amar, Eretz Chaimtain Haisa. It was a sandy land. So why was it called Kavul? What does Kavul have to do with the sand? The Mishtarga Bakara ad Kavla. The foot would sink into it ad Kavla until the ankle. So Kavul is the ankle. So what does this have to do with us? We're talking about Kavulais that it's not going to produce. How do we get that it's not going to produce? So we said either Eretz Kavul, or two interpretations of Eretz Kavul. Either it's the people are wealthy, they don't work, so it doesn't produce anything, or the land is sandy, sounds like a quicksand. The people say it's a land that traps you, I guess, that doesn't produce any fruit. Okay. All this is to explain the language of Rechelim, Yetzis Kavules, that they go with the tail tied down so it doesn't reproduce. Kavunais. We said also that it is allowed to go out kavunais, the sheep. My kavunais, what does that mean? Shemechavnin oisan lemelas, that they cover it for the wool. It's right when it's born, they already put some sort of protection over it so the wool stays clean. Kedetnan se'es, talking about saras, it says se'es is ketzemer lavan, it's like wool. Snow, it's like white wool. My temer lavan, what is white wool? What does it mean, like white wool? How white is wool? So Amar Rav Bibi Barabai ketzemer naki ben yoimai shemechavno es lemelas. This is white like wool of an animal that was covered on the first day, that it was to protect its wool. That's like very, very white wool. Okay. But Izim Yitzis Tzuris, I don't know how the artists, how they share colors. How do they make colors exact? If they say I want a certain color, like how did we get that all the colors around the world that they should be the same? I mean, measurements was a big deal, but we had natural ways of doing that. Used a gram was a centimeter of water. We were able to get those measurements. So you had the colors. We're getting it from some natural way as well. We're getting the colors from the sheep. Okay. We're using Yetzis Tzuris. The goats are allowed to go out tied. Itmar. Rav Amar Lachak Rabbi Yehuda. Okay. This was a machlekes in the Mishnah. In the Mishnah, we're talking about the goats are being tied because some sort of protection around the udder of the goat. The Tanna Kama said that it was no problem. Rabbi Yossi says it is a problem. And Rabbi Yehuda says that it depends why you're tying up the udders. If it's because you want it to dry, the milk to dry up, so then that's fine because you're going to tie it tight. But if you're tying it so it doesn't get dirty or something like that, then you're not going to tie it as tight. And that's going to be a problem. So we have a Tanna Kama, we have Rabbi Yossi, and we have Rabbi Yehuda. So we quote the Mishnah and we say Itmar. There's a statement here of Amirayim. So it's going to be a machlekes Rav and Shmuel, two first generation Amirayim in Bavel. Rav Amar Lachak Rabbi Yehuda. Rav says Lachak Rabbi Yehuda, which is Rabbi Yehuda Rabbi Eily in the Mishnah, who says that it depends why you're tying it. If you tie it tight to dry up the milk, that's acceptable. Shmuel Amar Lachak Rabbi Yossi. Shmuel says halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, who holds that it's always not acceptable for the goat to be tied like that. Some learned this machlekes Rav and Shmuel not as a commentary on the Mishnah that they're going to say who the halacha, which opinion the halacha is like. This was a shir in Hilchos Shabbos. Rav Amar liyavish muter v'lo l'chalev. Rav says that to dry up the milk, you're allowed to tie the goats, which means tying it tight. But for the chalav itself, to protect the milk, that you're not allowed to do. Shmuel Amar echad zeh aser, and Shmuel said that they're both aser. Some learned it slightly different. Izim Yitzis Tzuris liyavish avalei l'chalev. We had a statement. We said, it sounds like this the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda, that goats are allowed to go out tied up with their udders tied up so that the milk will dry and then they'll be able to become pregnant. Avalei l'chalev, but not to protect the milk. Mishum Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira amar kach halacha. Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira, they said in his name that this is the halacha. Aval mi mafis. Mafis is like to make a lottery. But who can figure out how tight it is? I mean, when you're just looking at it, you can tell what's underneath, how tight it is. You can't tell if it's tight or tight loose. Maybe you see the stretch, the pulling on the material. But because you can't tell the difference, so it's not that this is really the halacha, but practically this is the halacha, like Rabbi Yossi. That's Amar Shmuel, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. Shmuel says halacha like Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira. So it could be, according to this version, that really Shmuel and Rav would agree that the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda. Rav said the halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda, and Shmuel said the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi. It could be that really he doesn't hold the halacha like Rabbi Yossi. Just practically, we have to go like Rabbi Yossi, because how can you tell the difference? Kiyasa Ravin, Rabbi Yechanan, halacha Tanna Kama. I think it's Rabbi Yechanan. It says Reshiyot. When Ravin came, he said in the name of Rabbi Yechanan, that's usually who he says in the name of, that halacha is like the Tanna Kama, which says that it's always permissible for the goats to have their udders tied. We have a new Mishnah now. The last Mishnah said what an animal is allowed to go out with. The saddle cloth, if it's tied. Okay. What is the animal not allowed to go out with? Lo yitze gamel b'metalteles. A camel can't go out with a metalteles. It's not so clear what a metalteles is. Some say that it means a saddlecloth, which is exactly a mardas that we said before, which we said that a donkey is allowed to go out with. For some reason, the camel isn't allowed to. It could be one of the pshatim over here is that it's, when you have a bag that has a strap, so there's one part of the strap where they have like a little rubber piece that if you put it on your shoulder, the strap shouldn't bother you. It's like a softening thing on that strap. That could be a metalteles, that it's something that's soft that protects from underneath the other straps. Whatever straps are there holding the thing, you put this thing under so the strap doesn't dig into the skin. Okay, now it says lo yakad v'lo ragel. It can't be tied up in different ways. Akad is like akeda, and ragel is tied. V'chein shakal beimus is the same issue. Now it says lo yikshe gemalim zebezev v'yimshech aval machnes chavalim techiyada v'yimshech b'vad shli. You can't tie one camel to the next camel, to the next camel, to the next camel, and you lead the one in the front. However, you can take all the strings from all the different camels and you pull them all together, like the way you would sell balloons. You hold all the strings from all of them together, all in one grip. Not that one's tied to another. However, you can't wrap them up together, wind all the strings together. We'll see why. It's secondary issues here. Tana, we learned in a brisa, lo yetzia gamal b'metalteles akshur le'bisnave. You can't go out with the metalteles that's tied to its tail. This is a camel. Camel is same in Hebrew and English. Camel, gamal, camel. If the G and the C it could be switched like that. Camel. Avo yetzia b'metalteles akshur b'snave. But it could go out with this metalteles, which may be a saddlecloth that's tied to the front, to the nose, ubechetrasei, and to the hump. So it can't be tied to the back, but if it's tied to the hump and to the front of it, then it's not going to fall off. Amar Rabba bar Rav Huna, yetzia gama metalteles akshur lebishel yasa. It's allowed to go if it's tied to the shilya. Shilya is the placenta, and apparently the animal would give birth and the placenta would still be hanging out, but it would be irritated very easily. So therefore, it won't knock it off. It's just going to leave it in place. The camel won't knock it off because it's there, and if it moves it, it's going to irritate it. So therefore, this was considered that it's safe and it's not going to fall off on Shabbos. I don't know. I guess if the shilya comes out, then the whole thing's going to fall off. But so maybe it means that it's being tied to the animal around the bottom of the animal. And that area in general was sensitive. Not that there's a shilya that it's giving birth to. I don't know. Okay. Rashi over here mentions that he thinks metalteles is a little cushion that they would put under the tail so that the strap doesn't dig into the skin. Okay, lo yakad v'lo ragel. Can't go out tied this way or tied that way. Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda here is an Amira. Rav Yehuda Bar Yecheskel, like the Amira that we usually quote. Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel. Akad is akedas yad v'regel. Ki Yitzchak ben Avram. There's different ways of tying the animal, and the reason why they tie the animal is so that it's not able to run quickly. You don't want it to run away. So they tie it up to slower its pace. So how would they tie it? So they would tie yad v'regel, tie the hand to the foot, the front leg to the back leg. That's the akud. It says ki Yitzchak ben Avraham. That's the way Yitzchak was tied at the Akedah, his hand to his foot. You would think the easier way would be to tie the 2 feet and tie the 2 hands, but apparently that's what it says. We learned that in Talmud also when they were tying the carbon. Rogel shalayakav yadei al gab Yisrael v'yiksher. This would be like this. They would take, the animal has 4 legs. They would take one of them and they would fold it, bend it upwards, and then they would tie it together so that it would have to run. One leg was bent by the knee, so it would have to run only on 3 legs. It wasn't able to run quickly. These are things that you're not supposed to do on Shabbos. You're not supposed to let an animal go out like this on Shabbos. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. You told me that akud means that it's tying the hand to the foot. However, we have a brisa that says akud shtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim. Akud means you tie the 2 hands of the 2 feet together. Ruggle, what does ruggle mean? Shliakov yadei al gab Yisrael v'yiksher. That means that you don't tie the hand to the upper arm, which means you tie it tie the knee up. Okay, that's not a problem. The ruggle is the same. The problem is the akud. The Gemara says, "Hudamar ki aitana." Well, it's not a problem. Rabbi Yehuda has a support. He has a brisa that says the Tanya akud is akedas yad v'regel, ishtei yadayim v'shtei raglayim. Akud actually means the hand to the foot, or it also means to the 2 hands of the 2 feet. And ruggle is layakov yadei al gab Yisrael v'yiksher. So Rabbi Yehuda, that's the Amira, has a support from a brisa that is acceptable. The Gemara says, 1 second. That brisa, yeah.
What was the lashon by Yaakov? Akudim, akudim, nekudim, nekudim. The same word or a different word?
Yeah, I think it's the same word.
Because it didn't mean tied, or it didn't mean. It just came in the mind.
Good job.
I think it meant striped, which may have that connotation.
Maybe like candy cane stripes, if you wrap it around.
I see your Mishalim.
Good job, Dr. Stein.
So it says, V'akati laydami, but that brisa doesn't actually fit with Rabbi Yehuda. Why? Because Bishlem Ereisha v'Seif Nicha. If you look at that brisa, he gave 3 interpretations there. He gave akud could mean hand to foot, or it could also mean hand to hand, and that's the middle interpretation. And then he said ruggle meant that it was tied upwards, but the middle one doesn't fit. Doesn't fit with Rabbi Yehuda's translations. Gemara asks it like this: Bishlem Ereisha v'Seif Nicha, but Mitziyasa Kasha, the middle interpretation doesn't fit. Gemara says, Elahudamar ki aitana, rather there's another brisa that Rabbi Yehuda has a support for. That supports Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Akud is akedas yad v'regel, Yitzchak ben Avraham. Akud is tied hand to foot like Yitzchak by the Akedah. And rugel shlayakov yadei al gab Yisrael v'yiksher. And rugel means that you tie it up, the hand, one of the feet up.
So what we just learned about the ability to lead a camel, would this be the halakhic basis for people who go out with dogs with a leash, and the opinion that as long as it's on a leash, it's not carrying on Shabbat? Yeah,
we're going to see something a little bit more clearly in a few lines. That will be clearer than this. This so far is if it would have some sort of thing around the legs, that it would be a problem to make sure it doesn't run away or run too fast or whatever. We're going to see something about the leash in a minute. Sometimes they have this like cone around the animal's head. What is that for, that cone?
Isn't it to stop it from biting?
Oh yeah.
If it has like fleas or something, they stop it from biting.
It's not fleas. Typically, if they've had sutures or a broken part, whatever, then they can't get to like removing the stitches or things like that.
Oh, we're gonna see that. That's interesting. The Gemara is gonna discuss something like that. Not with a cone around the head. Okay, we'll see. Okay. It says you can't tie the camels one to another. My time, it looks like if you tie one to the next, it looks like you're taking it to the market. Rashi translates chinga, that's something that everyone surrounds. I guess they would walk around in the market in a circle. The sellers would stand in the center and selling their things, and everyone would surround them. Aval machnes, but we said we could take all the ropes and put them into your hand. Amar Ravashi. Oh, 1 second. It's funny. It doesn't say it doesn't quote the end. As long as you don't tie it, you don't wrap it together, the ropes together. Amar Ravashi leishano lenin kalayim. This concept usually when the Gemara wants to say it says v'chulu. Here it doesn't say the v'chulu, but it should say v'chulu, I think. I bet this is just the printer that's putting this in. I don't think. I think originally in the manuscripts in the Gemara, I think they had more Mishnayos together, possibly, and then they had all the Gemara, and I think someone helped us out that divided up, like they had the whole parak together, I think. And then someone divided up the Gemara by the Mishnayos in a way that made it easier. I think, I don't know the. So when you divide it up, you have to put in headings again. You put in headings. I guess even if it's not divided, you have to have heading. Anyway, this heading, Aval Machnes, should have a v'chulu there. Rashi says, what's the problem of tying it together? Leishanu alinin kalayim. The problem is that there's kalayim there. Kalayim means a forbidden mixture. Now, what is the forbidden mixture? The Gemara says, kalayim demai. Which forbidden mixture are you referring to? Eily kalayim dadamai. You're saying you're not allowed to work a shor v'chamar, an ox and a donkey together. You can't put them in the same yoke for them to plow together. So here, what are you doing? You're going to be walking together with the camels. If you tie it together, I guess maybe tie it around your hand, you're going to be tied to the camels, and that's kalayim. You're not an ox or a donkey, but that's just an example. So it's a camel and a person. The Gemara says, there's no prohibition against that. A person's allowed to join in the work with an ox or with any animal that's doing the work. It must be that it's shatnez. But Hatanya, the problem is, there's a brisa. If you just grab it together, this is even with a stitch. If you do one stitch, that means it just goes straight through. Usually, the way you sew is it goes in and then it goes back up and then back out, and then it would get tied. So there's but if you just poke it through, so that's not a problem. And here, what's he doing? He has it in his hand, and he's going to wrap it around, or his hand is in it. That shouldn't be considered kalayim. The Gemara says, "Leilam kalayim dechavalim." Really, this is what we're talking about. This could be shatnez in the straps. So when you're going to wrap it around your hand, it's going to be a problem. Problem is if you wrap it, you wrap it and tying it. That's what the Mishnah means. If you wrap it and tie it, that's going to be an issue. Now, he doesn't really have kavana to warm his hand, to wear it. Rashi says, this is going according to the opinion that holds davar sheina miskaven is asur. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, and we had several times machlekes Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shimon about davar sheina miskaven. Okay. Skaven. if you look at the introduction to the Eily Tal from the Avnei Nezer, so he tries to put together the opinion of a person should always perform his Torah and mitzvahs, even if it's not Lishma. And he wants to put that together with Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that says Davar Sheina Miskaven is Aser. That even if you don't have the right kavana, the Rabbi Yehuda's opinion that the kavana doesn't make it permissible. Also, Rabbi Yehuda is the one that says Lo'elam Yasik Adam B'Torah Mitzvahs Afilu Shalei Lishma. Wants to put those together. Then he wants to say that Lishma and studying Torah. What does it mean studying Torah for its own sake? He says if you enjoy what you're learning, that's also considered Lishma. You shouldn't think that if I enjoy it, then it's not Lishma. That's his. He plays with this opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Naftali. Shmuel says, as long as you don't have the reins, the strap hanging out of your hand in the front, the tefach. The Gemara asks, 1 second. But Shmuel taught that it can't hang out two tefach. Tefachayim. When it says, Amar Rabbi, Hashdam Shmuel tefach, B'tana de B'Shmuel tefachayim. We have a statement of Shmuel that it's a tefach. In the yeshiva of Shmuel, they said it two tefachim. So it must be Shmuel halacha l'maisa salashmin, and Shmuel is actually telling us the practical halacha. Taught us what the real halacha is, the dry halacha. And he says practically it shouldn't be even one tefach. Really, the issue is two tefachim. The problem with the tefachim is people may not see that the back of it is going to the reins, to the thing around the head of the halter, the thing that goes around the animal, and you just see a string hanging on the front. It looks like you're just carrying a string. So two tefachim is the issue. But halach l'maisa, even one tefach is a problem. You should be careful, even one tefach. V'hatanya b'vad she'yagvir min hakarka tefach. It doesn't say that it can't hang out. We said as long as there's a sag in the reins, as long as you don't let it go down to the ground, the tefach. The Gemara says kitani b'chaval de beni beni. That's something else. That I thought the question with the answer. So it's hard. The Gemara was saying, but 1 second, it only says that it needs to be a tefach off the ground. It says no, that tefach off the ground is in the sag that goes back, because otherwise it looks like you're just dragging a rope that's on the ground. It could be it's on the ground. People don't see that it goes back up to an animal. So you have two halachas here. One is the sag, the strap that goes from your hand to the animal is not allowed to go down to the ground, and the part that's hanging out in the front should not hang out at tefach. Okay, now it says a new Mishnah. In chamar yetzi b'mardas b'zman she'ena kshura lo. We learned before that a donkey is allowed to go out with a saddle cloth because the donkey is cold. The saddle cloth warms it. But that's only if it's tied. If it's not tied, then there's a problem. We quoted this Mishnah before. You can't go out with a bell, even though the piece in the bell is stuffed up with some cotton so it doesn't ring. They would have a bell that they would use to take the animal to the market. So there would be a bell that would draw attention to it. Even though it's stuffed up, you still can't go out with it. Not with a ladder that's on its back and its neck. We're going to say the reason for these are because it may fall off. I'm not sure what size ladder and all of that, but it may fall off or you'll carry it. It can't go out with a strap that's around its leg. The chickens can't go out with strings around their feet. They would do this, I guess, so it doesn't jump away. It doesn't get too far. It doesn't fly. Ve'ein hazacharim yetzim ba'agala shetachas ha'aliyah. There was a long tail that would drag on the ground for the rams. So a fat tail. So what they would do is they would create a little wagon and attach it to the back of the animal. So when the animal would walk, the tail would sit on this wagon, and it wouldn't get sore from the ground. If Vashti would have survived all the different decorations and fancy wagons. Okay. We don't have a pshat yet what chanunais is. We'll see in the Gemara. A calf can't go out with a gimain. Gimain could mean the food bag. This we'll see. A cow can't go out with a kupar is a porcupine skin. They would put a protection over the udders, and they would use a porcupine skin for that protection to make sure no other animals come to drink the milk. And then I guess they would take it off when they would milk it. This we learned before. This was a decoration. However, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah's cow went out with a ritzua, with a strap, and it was against the will of the sages. Okay. My time, the Gemara asks, what's the reason for everything that we said, all the things that you can't? It says Kid Amran, as we said before. It's not so clear. It makes it sound like it's so obvious. Kid Amran, like we said before, but it had to do with carrying. Okay. Can't go out with the bell even though it's stuffed up and it's not going to ring. It looks like you're going to the market. Not with the ladder that's on its neck. This is actually on the jaw. Why would they do this? If it has a wound, it shouldn't turn its head to scratch it. And this is that I think like that cone. They would put something on the neck around next to the jaw, so it can't really turn around and scratch whatever it wants to scratch and irritate the wound that's healing. Not with the strap around the foot. The avdi le gizra. This is, they tie it up so that its legs don't bang against each other. This chickens can't go out with these strings. The strings would be able to tell whose chickens it is. It shouldn't get mixed up with your neighbors. Not with the strap. The strap would go over the wings, and they would tie it down from the top under. They would tie it down so it doesn't flap and break utensils. It would flap around and smash things, knock things over. This is the male sheep. Don't go out with this wagon. So that their tails should not get hurt by the stones on the ground. The sheep can't go out chanunais. Okay, we didn't explain what this is. Yosef Rav Acha bar Ula kameder Rav Chisda. Rav Acha bar Ula is sitting in front of Rav Chisda. The Yosef Kamar, he says like this: Mishum shegoyzes anaisa, because they share the wool. Taimnim la ezek b'shemen. what is an ezek? It's some sort of piece of cotton or wool, some soft thing. They dip it in oil.
Does yours say Mishum or Misha?
Oh, Misha, I'm sorry. Misha, thank you. At the time that they shear the wool, they take a piece of cotton or soft material, they dip it in oil. They put it on the forehead. Should keep it warm. It gets cold after a haircut. So this is a shearing of wool. So they put it on its forehead to keep it warm. Amar Rav Chisda says, you're treating it like marukva. Marukva was apparently a wealthy person he was a Bezdin. And you're treating it with such care after a haircut that you protect it. Who was Rav Chisda's son-in-law? It was Rava and also Marukva, Bar Chama. I don't know if it's the same Marukva. But if it is a son-in-law, then it's like an interesting comment. Eily Yosef, Rav Papa Bar Shmuel, Kamei Rav Chisda. Rav Papa Bar Shmuel is sitting in front of Rav Chisda. Yosef Akamer, and he says the following: B'shosha karas leiled, not after it gets a haircut, the shearing, but when it gives birth. Time lashnei yiskin shel shemen. They dip two pieces of cotton or wool into oil. They put one over the forehead, one over the womb, to keep it warm. Amalei Rav Nachman responds, Yalta. You're treating this animal like my wife, like Yalta. Yalta also came from a wealthy family, and she needed extra care. They say, treating this animal like Yalta. There is this type of wood that comes from the islands, and it's called chinan. Meviim kesem. They take a twig of this wood, they put it in the nose, so that the animal should sneeze. It's like sneezing powder. And v'yiplu darnei reisha, and so that the worms of the head should come out. It would sneeze it out. Ihachi, Umar says, 1 second. You said this, the female sheep, the ewes, can't go out chanunas. Why only the females? The males as well. The Gemara says, no, kim the menagchi zacharim ba'adadi memela naflan. It says the male animals are always banging their heads against each other. They don't have worms in there. The worms have already fallen out from all the banging. It's the females that need to get it out with sneezing. Shimon Nazira Amar Kisma Derisma, that it's Kisma Derisma. What was Risma? Was a hard wood that it had a lot of coals. We had ricin wood before. What does he want to say? What is it? Do you have a comment there? What he's doing? What ricin wood? Is it the same type of wood that it's supposed to sneeze? 54. Oh. Broom tree would be placed. Okay, maybe it's the same thing. Maybe that's what he means. If you accept the opinion of Rav Huna that chanunes has to do with this piece of cotton, that's what it means, chanunes. It means, what is it, grace? No, it was taken from a chanun tree. That's what it is. There was a tree that was called chanun, or chinan. So that makes sense. Ela l'Rabbanan, but according to the Rabbanan, my chanunas, What does it mean, chanunais? That means the earlier opinions that had that that they said that you were putting these things in it to keep it warm or whatever. It says the Abdinan Lu Milsa de Merachman Alayo. Chanan over here has to do with like Chanan Verachim, that compassionate. You're doing things that show that we have compassion on the animals. So this extra sort of treatment. Okay, let's leave it over here.